Welcome to another segment of In Depth and Out Loud. We bridge the gap in showing you what the real world of work looks like and what you're studying and how that is relevant to that. What can you do to really go out there and make yourself find a place in this world? Well, my guest today is going to speak to exactly that. So let's welcome Lyndy van den Barselaar, who is the Managing Director at Manpower Group. She's got extensive experience in the world of looking for people who want work. In recruitment, and of course a number of other backgrounds in finance and operations. Thank you so much for joining us. And like I said, you are probably in a great position to tell us what the industries are looking for. Welcome.
Thank you, Mo, and thank you for inviting me on the show today. So yeah, let's just be very honest. The world of work out there is not great at the moment, especially from a South African point of view. We've got a lot of unemployment. And Manpower Group globally has done a survey across all the different countries that have manpower. And what has come out of this, our recent survey, is that 76% of employers in South Africa are not able to find the skills that they need. And that was 46% in 2021. So there's been a huge gap in terms of the skills availability. And the skills that they've outlined that are in huge demand right now, where they battle to find candidates, is IT, not a surprise, engineering, sales and marketing, operations and logistics, and admin and clerical. So what this is telling us is that if a graduate has studied in those areas, the possibility is that they may be in a better position than anyone else who may not have studied that to be able to find a position. Because we have a lot of people, as we know, that have skills, but they're not in demand. So we sit with a high level of unemployment right now.
So then how do we deal with that? I mean, not necessarily the question of unemployment, because I think the result will be that if people go out there and find the work, then everything solves itself in a sense. But, you know, if I'm going to walk out as a graduate, you know, what are some of the things that I need to take into account when I'm knocking on doors? And in your experience at Manpower, what have you found?
So it's obviously identifying what those shortage of skills are, and not everyone will have those kind of skills.
Sure.
So and I think what at the graduate stage is almost too late. We should be working at the schools level and at the campus level, is guiding people. Okay, what are the shortage of skills? This is where you need to focus your studies. And I know not everyone can do IT and not everyone can do engineering, but try and guide them into the careers that are going to assist them. So we're not saying that just because they don't have those scarce skills that they're not going to find employment. They've just got to go and identify, first of all, where it is that they want to work, and then go research those businesses and say, well, are they recruiting? Are there vacancies when they're in business? And try and start looking at it from that point of view. Are there skills that I don't have? Can I go acquire different skills? And we're talking about technical skills right now. So,
sure.
You know, going to find out, do I need to do some online course to assist me to get me to a place where a potential employer is going to want to employ me?
I mean, yes, we talk about the studies a lot, but I mean, there must be other factors at play in terms of what would make a candidate attractive for any business to want to bring them in. What are some of those other qualities that you know in your experience, having dealt with many industries, are really key qualities to have?
So there's a lot of soft skills, but I'm going to take a step back because we're talking about graduates at this stage. And a lot of the soft skills come from experience in the working environment. Right. So in our business, we talk about the LQ. It's the learnability quotient. Right. So it's an assessment that an individual can go and do, and it assesses their willingness and their ability to learn new skills so that they can become employable in the future.
Sure.
So in my mind, if a person's got the right attitude, you can teach them skills. So looking at that. So it's not necessarily that they've got the right skills right now, but if they have that aptitude and that willingness to go ahead and learn different skills, that is something that employers will start looking at. And then come the other soft skills like communication skills and teamwork and creativity and analytical thinking. You know, they don't just want a person who's got a degree on a piece of paper. They want to look at someone who's got the potential to be something more than they currently are. Because let's be honest, the world of work is changing constantly. So the skills that exist in the future those skills don't even exist right now. We've got to learn. So we've got to keep changing and evolving. So if you're that type of person that has got that aptitude to want to continue to change and evolve, that's the kind of candidate that people will look for. Obviously, if you're a CA, if a client's looking for a CA, they're not going to look just at your potential to learn.
Sure.
But in different environments and in different opportunities, that is something that makes more sense as opposed to just a piece of paper with a degree on.
This evolution that you speak of, let's talk a little bit more about that, because, this conversation is speaking to, anybody who's a graduate, doing higher certificates, diplomas, etc. And I'm thinking, because things change, there's the rate and the intensity in which things do change. What does that look like, and what have you seen so far, just in terms of this evolution? What should students understand?
Well, also again, the students need to decide what is it that they want to focus on. Is it IT that they want to go on? Is it engineering? Is it sales and support? Then go and look at what are the skills that are required right now, and look at what are the skills that are coming up. Because if you're not keeping up to date with and it's important that they identify what it is that they want to do. It's not, you can't just keep up to date with every opportunity and every skill that's out there. You need to understand, okay, so IT is my thing. IT is evolving. We've got AI, we've got data analytics. All these are new skills that are coming up, and there's a shortage of skills in those. So what do I need to do to acquire those skills? And then you've got to look at companies that are potentially recruiting for those kind of roles, that are prepared to invest into those employees, or to do courses themselves. And yes, sometimes it's a cash flow thing. People don't have the funds just to go and educate themselves. But look at online courses, look at companies that are offering potentially learnerships, things like that can give you the opportunity to acquire those skills. But you've got to keep up to date. You've got to keep reading within the industry that you're interested in. You've got to choose somewhere along the line. And yes, our journey changes along the way.
Sure.
As an example, myself, I'm a finance person by background. I happened to join Manpower in the finance role. And 3 months down the line, the managing director's role became available to me, something I'd never done before. But I took the opportunity to take that. So yes, our journey changes along the way, but whatever that journey is, you've got to stay up to date. Keep reading, keep researching. What are the skills? Online portals, go and see what are they hiring? What are the candidates are there? Go into companies that you're interested in working for. Go, set yourself up a LinkedIn profile and go and research companies that you're keen on that are offering perhaps IT positions.
Sure.
Are they recruiting? Link with people that are working for those companies. How can they assist you? How can they connect you to other people? There's nothing, you don't apply today for a job. Just apply for a job and just sit back and wait, because let me tell you, there's 1,000 other
Sure.
people that are applying for those jobs. You've got to drive yourself. You've got to get in that car and you've got to drive the journey yourself. So it requires initiative. It requires the direct approach. So whatever it is, put yourself out there, connect with whoever you need to make sure that you are staying up to date with whatever it is that you're interested in.
Is there something to be said about, because you speak about know what you want to do and where you want to go. Let's talk a bit about that. Is there something to be said about being clear on what company you want to go and work at or for? And also, how do you work out what the right company is for you? I mean, is there something to be said about that? Because,
Absolutely.
As a graduate, maybe one argument could be, just grab whatever comes, and that might be the wrong strategy.
Absolutely, and it can't always just be about the money. As graduates and as individuals, we all have a set of values. So my advice to a grad would write down what those values are, and what values of those are not negotiable. Then, the companies that you're interested in, go and do the research again, try and understand their culture, and if a job opportunity or an interview comes up, and you go towards that interview, then go and try and understand what their culture is. And just by walking into a building, if you're given the opportunity to go for an interview, just by walking into a building, the way you were treated at reception, it can indicate what the culture is in that business. And let me give you an example. We had a potential client in Cape Town that I went to visit in October. And it wasn't for a job opportunity, it was a potential client that we were visiting. Sure. And when I walked into that environment, I thought I could never work here. It felt like I'd stepped into the 1980s.
Sure.
So it's just and I know interviews today, a lot of them happen via Teams, so you're not getting that face-to-face connection, but push for that. You need to go feel what it feels like within that building. So the way you're treated at reception, the way you feel when you walk into that organization. When you're in the interview, talk to the client, to the potential employer about what is the culture here? What are the values of this business? And also by connecting to people who work there already, you can also get a feel for the organization. So yes, I know as grads, sometimes we just need money. We need to start earning.
Yeah,
we're going to take the first job that comes our way.
Yeah.
But don't do that, because what's going to happen is you're going to join. You're going to be very, very unhappy, and then you're going to move on. And then if you get to the stage where you're not choosing the company that's got the right culture, that's the values subscribe to your values, then you're going to be known as a job hopper, because you're going to move on and move on and move on. And as an employer, when I interview a potential candidate for our business, if I see that they've been a few months here, a year there, I'm going to have a problem with that, because why then do you keep leaving? And what's to say if I hire you, you're not using me as a stepping stone to go somewhere else?
Sure.
And money is not everything. And again, I'll share a personal example. I was in a very unhappy environment in terms the culture of the business had changed. The leader that I was reporting to, he nearly broke me down. And I actually stepped out and took a drop in salary just so that I could save myself, because I just couldn't cope with that anymore. So yes, as a grad, I understand money is important, but so is being happy.
Yeah.
And so is being working for an organization where your values align with theirs.
Absolutely. So well-being is key, because that also becomes the engine when you're performing on a day-to-day. I want to talk about, and it's going to take it a slightly step back, but your CV. People talk about CVs and resumes. I mean, I don't even know if I have one. I mean, let's start there, Lyndy. But what do graduates put on a CV? Because I've just finished studying, I've done nothing. If I've worked at a clothing store, does that matter? If I was washing cars in the neighborhood, does that matter? What do I put on the resume to make it, worthwhile for anybody that I'm applying to work for?
So you've obviously got to put down what you studied, what you got in matric, that type of thing. That's the basic information. But in our business, we talk about the 30-second commercial.
Right.
It's writing almost an advert about who you are, what you stand for, and what you can do for an organization that's going to catch the client. Because just putting down, I worked at this company, or I studied and I got these marks, and I did this and I got these marks, that's not, there's hundreds of people that have done that. So what makes Mo stand out? That I'm going to look at his CV before I'm going to look at someone else's CV. So it's a short little paragraph, and we talk about the 30 seconds commercial, because it shouldn't be more than 30 seconds.
Sure.
That should be put on the front of your CV, and whether what you say in there about you and what you're capable of and what you can bring in terms of your values and your commitments and accountability and responsibility, whatever it is that you feel is going to attract a potential employer, put that on the front. The rest they'll look at after, but you've got to catch the attention of that client. And that's what we do in our business too. And also if it's a very technical role, then we put what we call a skills matrix onto the CV, which tells them that the client's looking for this. Okay, so does our candidate fit into that? It's almost a matrix. Yes, he can do that. Yes, he can do that. That's down the line when you've got more experience. But if you want to sell yourself, write your own 30, you're selling yourself. Write your own little advert that's going to make Mo choose me over someone else.
And what hooks you as a potential employer? Yes, the paperwork is there, but I mean, is it the confidence? Is it the voice, the way they speak? Is it the eye contact? Is it the stride when they walk into the room? I mean, are any of those things even relevant in the world of work when you're out there looking for work?
Absolutely. And I'm going to give you another example. Our BE partner, we were at one of their functions in August last year, and one of the grads, she was still, I think she's still a year to go. One of the students was one of the hosts at this event. And this young lady stood up, and I listened to her, and my colleague was with me, and I said, I need to talk to that lady afterwards, because that's someone that I want to bring into our business. She just exuded confidence, the way she spoke, the way she introduced people. It was just, she stood out as to someone who just stood there and said, hi, I'm Lyndy, and I'm here to introduce Mo for this event. And I actually had a chat with her afterwards, and I said, I need you to come work for us.
Wow.
Just being on stage and presenting who she was brought me into who she was. And we did bring her into, she came and did some work experience with us. We didn't pay her, but she was on a holiday. She came and just to understand, is our business what she wants to do? Because our business may not, you're not fit into our business. Everyone has their own niche. But it's things like that, it's going to make you stand out, not just what you've achieved. You got 6 distinctions or 8 distinctions in matric. Okay, great. But who are you as a person? So it is important, because it's about the rounded human being. It isn't just about skills anymore. It's about what do you bring as a person to our business and to the role.
It sounds like sometimes it's about networking and almost finding yourself in the right place at the right time, making your own luck, as in you never know who might be in the room.
100%. And I gave you my example of being, when I was a finance person and I got moved into the management role, step up. Never step away, because I mean I'm not the same person then as I am now, because the role brought with it confidence and things like that. But never be afraid to step up, and never be afraid to change your journey. So yes, network with like-minded people, network with people that you could see as potential mentors. Because mentors can teach you. And the older us that worked in the industry or worked in the working environment for so long, we do have things that we can help and guide. And that's how my role right now in our business I see as coaching. I need to make sure that people can become the very best versions of themselves by guiding them and sharing my knowledge with them, because that's my role as a senior leader.
Sure.
So try and connect with people like that, whatever industry it is that you like, whether it be a networking event or things like that, because people that you connect with will introduce you to other people and your network widens, but it's up to you to widen that network and make yourself available for those networking opportunities. But as I said, it's proactive. You've got to take charge of that journey. No one's going to come and knock on your door if you're not out there selling yourself.
Absolutely. The other one is money. When I get into that room and you impressed, Lyndy likes everything about me, and she's only prepared to give me 10 Rand a month. How do I know that that's too much or too little? How do I know my worth as a graduate stepping out into the big wide world?
So first of all, the word of advice to any grad going for an interview: never talk about the salary. Don't ever ask about the salary. So as a grad, you don't really have much work experience. And even an experienced person going for an interview, never ask about that. So as an experienced worker, you would have a salary expectation. As a graduate, you're not quite sure. Try and do some research on other companies that are hiring grads. What are they offering in terms of that? But whether you feel it's you worth or not, that's going to be company specific, because what I pay a grad might be very different to what another company pays a grad. But don't, as I said, it is a driving factor, and I understand people need to earn a living to take care of their needs, but don't let that be the sole decision, the sole reason why you choose to go with a company or not.
Sure, because the industries are different. Some industries, there isn't much in terms of a yardstick or a guide as to what people earn. So, you often find a lot of young people feeling like they're job seekers, that they're hard done by, etc. So is it about managing your expectation, but then how do you protect yourself within?
But also don't let people exploit you.
Sure.
As a grad, if you're going to be offered 5,000 Rand a month, then I would have a problem with that, because that's not realistic. Let's be honest, domestic workers can earn more than that. So it's all about not selling yourself short, so not missing out on opportunity because you feel they're not paying you what you're worth. Because what we do in our business, and we hire a lot of grads because of our partnership, is that we bring them in, we've got a standard salary that we bring them in, but then if they prove themselves, then we can adjust that salary. But we adjust and grow with them as their experience grows and as they perhaps move into other areas of business. So it's a difficult one, because you can't sell yourself short.
Sure.
And what is your value, but don't accept something that you really know is not going to pay you for your worth.
Yeah, because there's also the internship scenario where, we've got some internships and maybe you didn't quite get to do it while you were studying, but there's the opportunity. I've done my 3-4 years. Do I take the internship? And when I take it, what are my expectations there?
Yeah, and those are also difficult ones, because we've experienced it as well. Is the salary worthwhile? Because sometimes those internship salaries are not great. But it depends if it's registered with the CETA, because then what can happen is that a company can pay towards their stipend, they call it, and then the CETA can also pay towards their stipend, so it makes it realistic. The problem with some learnerships as well is that the learnership comes to an end and that's it. So now Mo where does Mo go from now? They don't all the companies don't bring the individuals back into their business. So you've done this internships, and now where do I go from now? So the better option is to look for those internships. And I know it's not easy, where the client's going to want to potentially hire you and take you on a permanent basis. And we've done it again in our own business. I mean, our business is not huge, but we're given the opportunity to put people on learnerships and then bring them into our business. Sometimes companies just have to make the decision to invest in people, because we're creating talent. And we've done it with a number of grads in our business, and we've watched them grow, and they've left our business. But we've been part of their journey. We've given them the confidence and the grounding to go out there and be something more. So isn't that amazing that we can make a difference in someone's life, so they can go out and the impact it has on people's lives and their families' lives. So it can't always just be, okay, what's my return on this investment? We all are driven by profits. We know our bosses want profits and things like that, but sometimes you have to invest, because by investing you'll get back.
And then, of course, since the pandemic, things have changed a bit in the world of work and how companies operate. And then there's the question around remote learning. And I've heard this a lot. People go for interviews and they say, I had to also find out and ask if there's an option to do some remote working from home, et cetera, et cetera. Is that an expectation that's realistic now? Should we be, as graduates, asking that question to say, does this role allow me to work from home? Or is it a completely different story?
Let's be honest, remote working has become a reality in our lives. Although at this stage now, a lot of companies have either gone back full time or gone back 50%, at least 50% of the time. But in our business, we've only gone back once a week. The rest of the time we're remote working. As a grad, I think they need more. And yes, ask about it, because some people won't work for a company, and that's the reality now, especially of the younger generation. If the company doesn't offer remote working, they're not prepared to take the position, because it's become about work-life balance. The hours that I have to spend, and I have it in my own business, and I understand the hours that I have to spend traveling to the office, then the hours that I spend home. Can I not rather use those hours to do work remotely? Yeah. So it's a balance. So if it's a grad, and we bring in grads, as I mentioned, then there has to be some face time. Because you can't learn everything that you need to learn over Teams. There's got to be a give and take.
Sure.
But once that face-to-face time has happened, then you can move off to remote working. But also remote working comes with its challenges as well. And I've experienced them personally as well, because when remote working happened, it was amazing because we could still continue to operate, because throughout COVID, our business continues to operate.
Sure.
But it requires discipline, because sometimes people aren't disciplined enough to make sure that they're still doing what they need to do. Or the opposite end is that they think they have to work 24/7. They have to be available 24/7. The clients expect them to be available 24/7. And then we have the threat of burnout.
And that's a real thing.
Yeah. And it was something I had to make my staff very much aware of, is that, guys, take a break. Take time to go. If you're feeling anxious over work, go and have a walk. Go and make a cup of tea. Step away from your laptop and go and eat your lunch in a different place, because that is very real. Because also what's happened is because you don't have to say if you want to go on client visits, as an example. So you travel to client A from 10 to 11, 11 to 12, I've got to travel to the next client. Now, 10 to 11, I've got client A, 11 to 12, I've got client B, because there's no gaps.
Yeah.
And that's also not good, because again, you're not having. Yesterday, I worked from 8 to 5, back-to-back meetings. It's not good.
Sure. So there's a lot to consider in that.
So there's a lot to consider. So the flexibility is great.
Yeah.
But I think, especially from a grad point of view, if you've not been exposed to the full-time office environment, you're going to need a lot of discipline.
Sure.
My attitude for my team is that I'm not going to clock watch you. So if you're delivering what you need to do in 2 hours, good for you.
Yeah.
But if you're not delivering, then I'm going to have a problem as well. The other challenge comes with load shedding.
Of course.
Because then my battery's flat, so I can't work, or my Wi-Fi is not connected. So in our business, again, we have an office that's got all the backup that you need. So if you can't work remotely, I don't want to hear, I can't connect today because I don't have power. Then you go to the office.
Sure.
The other thing is, and we've made a compulsory in our business, is the cameras. So initially with COVID and remote working, that people didn't put the cameras on because, I'm not dressed today.
Yes.
And that's
my hair's not done.
My hair's not done. But I say to my team, as an example, well, guys, we are actually at work. So I will insist that you put your camera on. And interesting, a lot of my clients don't. I will say, please, will you put your camera on so I can see who I'm talking to? And then they switch it off immediately. Because I don't like talking to a black screen. But also, from my team point of view, although you can't see much body language, I read people. I can see if they're not happy. I can see and also they can't roll their eyes at me if I'm saying something they don't agree with.
Sure.
But it's that because we've lost that physical togetherness for a lot, I need to be able to read people. I need to be able to see. I can see in your eyes if you're sad. I can see in your how you're moving if you're not happy. Yeah. I had one with one of my staff members on Friday. I could immediately pick up something was wrong. Yeah. So it's finding that balance.
Yeah.
In terms of what works for you and what doesn't work for you. And from a grad point of view, I think that could be quite
absolutely
challenging and adjusting.
And I'm also asking this, before we sort of wrap, because we live in a gig economy, right? Where people do multiple things that are sometimes unrelated. What is your take, also based on your experience around that, where naturally you're probably going to be dealing and have dealt with a lot of graduates who have other interests that are also generating some sort of income as a side hustle, etc. Our side hustle is something that one would have to declare, when you start working for a business. Or is it that, well, this is not your time, it's my time? Because there have been instances where sometimes it's compromised people. So what is your take on that? Also understanding the world that we find ourselves in now.
So that's a very good question. In fact, I was discussing that yesterday. So yes, if I employ someone and you've got a different business on the side, you have to disclose that. It's all about honesty and integrity. So if the business doesn't conflict with our business and you're doing it in your own time, because at the end of the day, from 8 to 5, you're employed by me. So if you want to carry on your business after hours, that's absolutely fine. But that also mustn't impact your ability to do your job during the day. So say you've got a business at night that you, a DJ as an example, and you're DJing till 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning, then I don't want to hear that you can't get up at 8 o'clock to do work because I've been DJing all night.
Sure.
So and it's not something we come across often in our business, because people are dedicated, even with the grads. They spend a lot of time, they want to learn, a lot of them take on additional studies. Even though they've got a degree, they go and study something else.
Sure.
And that's about the learnability quotient and continually wanting to upskill yourself. I mentioned to you earlier, I get bored very easily, so I'm constantly doing things. I've done a coaching course, I've done an executive leadership course. At the age of 42, I started my SEMA qualification. So it's generally not an issue in our business, and I haven't come across it with our clients that it is a problem, but if you're going to do it, you have to declare it.
Right.
And make sure it doesn't conflict with your duties at your employer.
Lyndy, final words to graduates. They are hoping to get out there and be something great. What would you say in just encouraging them and a sense of motivation to go out there and find that which they seek when they're going to look for work?
I think don't lose hope. You've got, this journey is not easy for anyone, even if you're an experienced person in terms of finding new employment. Don't lose hope. Be the master of your destiny. So get on that journey. Your journey, sometimes it'll take you directly where you want to go. Sometimes you're going to have a detour. Sometimes you're going to have to stop and change direction. But just don't give up. And whatever setbacks you experience along the way, learn from them. Take what you can learn from them. Sometimes experiences aren't great, but don't let them bring you down. Just keep going and learn from them and move on, because it will come. Their day will come.
Wow, Lyndy, thank you so much. That was brilliant. I think there's a lot of great insights that you came with today. And I certainly hope that graduates will take a lot of what you said today and just sort of employ it into their own way in how they go out there into doing what they do. Thank you.
Thank you, Mo.
There we go. Once again, in depth and out loud, making sure that we bridge that gap in showing you what the real world looks like and how you can really step up.